My name is Duane Neal, and I was born in Cedarville, down in Crawford County. Born in 1933. Well, my parents were native in Crawford County. My father was Franklin Neal. My mother was Rosie Neal, and Rosie Riddle was her maiden name. And they were both born in Crawford County and lived there all of their life. My father was postmaster at the little town of Rudy. He was there postmaster from 1945 until 1973, I believe.
So what was it like growing up down there?
It was great. You had lived on close to a creek, so I could go fishing. I spent my time on the creek all summer when I wasn't out working, picking strawberries or pulling corn or whatever, just to make a few bucks, so I could have some money, spending money in school. So I worked at all of the shoe stores on Garrison Avenue in Fort Smith, selling shoes at one time or another. So I stayed busy.
So where did you graduate high school, and what was it
I
like?
graduated high school from Alma in 1951. We had about 51 people, I think, in our graduating class, and I keep in touch with the survivors. There's a few classmates in Alma, near Alma, that I keep in touch with. There's only half a dozen of us that are in this area that are still living, so try to keep in touch with my classmates.
So tell us, after high school, what was the journey that led you eventually to Benton County?
After graduating high school in 1951, I went to Fort Smith Junior College then, it was called, for 1 year, and then went to the University of Arkansas in Fayetteville to get my degree in industrial engineering, and that was, I graduated in 1956, and then I was hired by Emerson Electric Company in St. Louis. I spent some time in St. Louis, and also was assigned to the plant in Paragould, Arkansas, where they had built their first plant outside of St. Louis, and that's where I met my wife. We were married in 1957. So, no, 1959, pardon me, 1957 is when I met her. And then we continued with working with Emerson Electric through several moves, and got back to Rogers in 1975, and spent 3 years as plant manager of the plant in Rogers. Had an opportunity to go with a new company called Foam Molding Company, and that's the college, or right across the street from the college of the Northwest Arkansas Community College, and that stopped us having to move. So that's how we ended up settling in Rogers and not having to move around the world again.
So how did you end up getting involved in, well, before I ask that, what was Benton County, Rogers, and Bentonville and the rural areas like back in those days?
Well, I think Rogers was probably about 8,500 people, maybe. Bentonville was about 3,500 people at that time, and there was a lot of the streets that now are 3 or 4 or 5 lane that were dirt roads at that time. So I've seen a lot of growth in Benton County, and of course that we can give credit to Walmart for that. They've done a great job in Benton County. Having reinvested money in Benton County, and it's grown, and it's growing. It's going to continue to grow with certainly with the $1 billion headquarters that Walmart's building. So it's gonna grow.
So how did you end up in running for politics in Benton County? Talk about that.
Well, I got involved in politics in about '78, I guess, and just became a member of the Republican Party in Benton County about that time, and later got involved and actually ran for office unsuccessfully for state office. So, and then I ran for quorum court and won that election. Served on the quorum court for 8 years, and my duties at work when I was promoted at work required me to spend my full time with the company, so that I got out of elective politics at that time, but stayed active in the party politics and supported candidates for election, and was able to get people elected. And the people that I remember in building the party basically from scratch in Benton County was Doris Holke, June Pelfrey, Beck Scott, and Rex Spivey. Those were the four people that I recall as being the heart of the party in the late 80s. And then from there, of course, we only had one elective office in Benton County at the time. And the rest of it was Democrat. And over the years, of course, we've been able to elect a lot of our candidates to office, and currently hold all elective offices in Benton County that are run on a party ticket. So that's how we started out, and then ended up where we are today with building a party within Benton County.
So talk about some of those early party leaders. What were they like? You mentioned Doris and
Doris Holke and June Pelfrey. That was before cell phones, and that was before a lot of our electronic equipment. But they just did a lot of telephoning, talking with people, getting them interested in the politics, explaining who we were and what we believed in. And was able to build on that. It was rough going in the early days. We just didn't have that many elective offices that we could build on.
Benton County has later went on to dominate state politics because it had the most votes up here, and a lot of the state leaders have come from Benton County. Can you talk about that?
Certainly, we have, of course, Jim Hendren was a very, very strong leader in the Republican Party. Jim decided that he could be more effective as an independent, so he's no longer called a Republican, even though he still has the same Republican opinions, that we had. Asa Hutchinson, of course, grew up in Benton County. He's currently our governor, and all of the elective offices in Benton County are held by the Republican Party. So we work with other counties around the state to help them elect more candidates, and that's how we are effective today, by working with other counties and extending our elected officials to other counties.
Do you have some examples? I mean, Washington County has recently been is now pretty close. Some races votes Republican. Have y'all helped them, or?
Certainly, Washington County is one, of course, and the other county, the other surrounding counties, we work with them, and we work with candidates across the state. In any area where we believe that we have a good candidate and that we can support them, even though it may not be a surrounding county, we still work with them and support them monetarily to assure that they have the means to have a good elective campaign. And that's one of the ways that we work with other counties in electing Republican candidates within those counties.
Who were some of the county officials that you remember working with when you were a JP?
Well, there's my memory almost gets away from me when I get too far away, but we didn't have a Republican county judge until probably the mid '80s, and we did have the Republican county judge as well as other county offices in Benton County, and currently hold all elective offices within Benton County. So we have elected candidates across the county and filled all of those slots, and work with other counties to get our message across.
So when you were at quorum court meetings back in the day, were the issues that y'all were facing, were they partisan issues, or were they more rural urban issues? Or?
No, they were not considered partisan issues. Rarely would we have something where all Democrats voted one way and all Republicans voted the other way, because in those days, those early days, of course we didn't have a majority on the quorum court. At that time we had about, I think, 11 JPs, and then of course it extended later to 13 and then to 15, but we just didn't have the majority. So we would of course vote not as a block, but depending on how we felt about the issues that were presented to us. So it wasn't a party thing in those days. In fact, well, today we have, I think, all of the JPs are Republican, but in the early days, you just voted on issues.
So what were some of the issues back in the day that when you were on the court that you faced?
You're starting to tax my memory there, but it was whether a bridge got built here or a bridge got built there, what roads were fixed. The road budget and the sheriff's budget were the big budget items, and we tried to support the road department very strongly, because at that time there was an awful lot of roads that needed repair or opening up, paving, that type of thing, and the jail of course was always an issue, and the new jail, it was new back then, but it's now old jail, but the jail really needed attention, and we built a new jail during that period, which served that period very well, but it doesn't serve us today, and the need for a new jail certainly exists, and of course that's on the ballot this year, a tax to support building a jail and maintaining that jail, and we need to support certainly our sheriff in that respect. If you pay if you do the crime, you got to pay for it. So I hope that will pass, but it will be on the ballot in November.
Are there any other issues from back when you were on the court that you think of, or any stories you want to tell that I haven't maybe asked about?
No, it was primarily roads, bridges, and jail, and that took the biggest part of the budget. which it should, because at that time we were a very rural county, and of course today that's we're not a rural county anymore. But at that time, that was the big issues that we had to face, and we had to support them. We currently have a 1-cent sales tax that supports the county issues as well as the city. And I supported that, and I promoted that around the county, and we were successful in passing the 1-cent sales tax. And if we had not done that, we would be in deep trouble today. That is the thing one of the things that really kept us going in a growing county.
You had mentioned earlier that how much of an impact Walmart had made, both building their facilities and moving people here. What else can you say about that?
I just know that I see, when I drive around town, I see license plates from all over the United States. A lot of the license plates I see are from up east, but we have people coming in serving Walmart in their business, serving them from across the country, all across the country. They're not limited to any area, but they come to us from all over the country.
A couple more questions here. If somebody came to you, maybe somebody from another part of the country or another part of the state, and said, Duane, tell me about Benton County, what would you tell them?
I'd tell them we have a growing county, a very successful county, and we've had good management within our quorum court and with our county government. I think the county and the city work together very well. I think our growth in this area, whether it's city or county, is just really starting. Our growth is going to continue, and we're going to have influx of people from all over the world that come to Benton County, primarily serving Walmart, but they've become a part of us, and I believe that they have been successfully integrated into our way of life in Benton County. It's not a rural county, but we have rural characteristics within our county, and I think we should build on those, and that's one of the strengths I think we have in Benton County, is building on the strength that we have and the people that are coming in and working with us in county government, as well as with Walmart and all the other businesses that go to support that.
One last question. Complete this sentence for me. My favorite thing about Benton County is?
I think Benton County has successfully transitioned from a rural county to an urban county, if you want to call it that. But we have our leadership in both county and city government has done a good job with our growth, and the growth is going to continue. It's we're I don't know what 35,000 or so in the last census, and the next one will probably be over 50,000. So we're going to continue to grow, and I think our both county government and city government has done a good job in managing the growth that we have experienced. And if we continue with that same kind of management, I think we'll have successful growth over the next 50 years.